Welcome to Money Making Conversation. I am your host, Rushion McDonald. I say this every episode. Stop reading other people's success stories and what? Okay? Start writing your own. That's right. Start writing your own. And people always talk about gifts and passions. If you have a gift, lead with your gift. And don't let your age, friends, family, or coworkers stop you from planning or living your dreams. Of course, you always know that the interviews I do on my show include celebrities, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and people I like to call industry decision makers. My guest is Aida Rodriguez. She's a comedian, actress, writer, and producer. She stars in her first hour-long stand-up comedy special, Aida Rodriguez, Fighting Words. And believe me, she's fighting. She's doing it, toe-to-toe. She's Muhammad Ali. She's all that. Smoking Joe Frazier. She's Mike Tyson. It starts November 4th on HBO Max, which I do have. And I have seen her special. It's very funny. Aida's HBO comedy special is based on her incredible life story, which includes surviving 2 kidnappings, sexual abuse, and a period of homelessness with her children. It's a comedic. Then I'm going to slide right back to the word comedic. It's a comedic, no-holds-barred exploration of identity and family. Her special concludes with a documentary of Aida's travels to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. The comedy special / documentary celebrates Rodriguez's vibrant Puerto Rican and Dominican heritage as cameras capture her reuniting with her estranged father and paying it forward for up-and-coming comedians. Please welcome to Money Making Conversation, Aida Rodriguez.
Good morning.
Well, Aida, first of all, my background is a stand-up comedian. Okay, I've done Def Comedy Jam, BET. I've done specials, all that's stand-up. Managed Steve Harvey. Did share the stage, Madison Square Garden, many large venues around this country with him. So from a stand-up comedy perspective, I always tell people comedy is like a 180 look at everything. You might be looking this way, then we just flip it. And that's where we can see comedy when you might see sadness. And so your special is kind of like built out of that. You talk about your journey as a stand-up comedian coming out of the COVID setting and you're doing it in the Bronx. Why did you do it in the Bronx? And what inspired you to do an hour-long special?
So, that is the playoffs for a stand-up comedian is to actually get an hour-long special. HBO has always been the home of amazing comedy.
Yes.
It is a coveted space for stand-up comedy. And HBO Max now, which is, the streaming platform that is creating a way for a lot of people. I've always wanted to be there and do the great things in comedy that a lot of people have done. And my heroes like, Richard Pryor and George Carlin and so on and so forth. The reason I decided to do my special in the Bronx is one, the Bronx is where I was kidnapped from when I was a little kid. My grandmother took me from my mother while we were in the Bronx, and my brother was born in the Bronx. And the Bronx is where I lived before I moved to Florida. Mm-hmm. My mom and I, moved there. We were on the run with my mother's partner at the time. But I wanted to go back and sew back into the communities that have sewn into me.
Right.
I think that many of us, we ascend and then we go do comedy specials in venues that our people don't have access to. And so I could have done that special anywhere and where my people got to get profiled. And when I say my people, I'm talking about people of color, Black people. Mm-hmm. So when I decided to do it in the Bronx because I wanted to bring something to the Bronx. The Bronx was devastated by COVID.
Right.
They have had a lot of things happening in that community, a lot of Black and brown girls being kidnapped and for human trafficking, just a lot of things that have been devastating the community in the last few years. It's always been there, but the last few years have been worse because it was devastated by COVID and the economy was bad there. And I wanted to bring money to the Bronx. I wanted to bring and I wanted the people of the Bronx and then the neighboring communities to have access to something that would bring them joy.
Well, first of all, super talented. I'm talking to Aida Rodriguez. Her comedy special, Fighting Words, is airing on HBO Max. When I look at you, first of all, you look so. Here's a compliment too. You look. First of all, you're very attractive. And
Mhm.
but it also looks like you could be my fourth grade teacher. You know what I'm saying?
I've always wanted to be a teacher.
So that's good. That means you're approachable. That means that you have a kind heart. That means that when you speak, there's a sense of understanding and sharing information. And so when I was watching your comedy special, it felt like I'm laughing, but you were sharing information and then breaking it down and educating me at the same time. But we get to laugh at the education. Is that just part of your comedy stylings?
I believe so. I think that I work on not being preachy. A lot of comedians can be really preachy on stage. I like to come from the perspective of I have had such a life, and there have been some things that have been traumatic, some things have been hard, a lot of things have been good. I had an amazing grandmother that poured strength into me, and I just think that it's important for us who are comedians, wherever we stand on that comedy spectrum, to be true to ourselves. And so for me, it's about, my favorite comedians are George Carlin and Richard Pryor. Right. And every single time I watch them, even now, things that I've watched before, I still learn something. So I wanted to, I just wanted to be true to my voice. And I think that this was an opportunity where I could just be me and just do what I needed to do without feeling the pressure or the censorship or anything from anybody else.
Well, you told a good story, a great story, because it's a story I couldn't tell, Ida. So I always tell people it's important that when I look as a stand-up comedian or a former stand-up comedian, I always feel I'm going to be a stand-up. I don't just tell you that.
It's in your blood.
It's in my blood.
No, it doesn't go away.
You're so funny. Oh, you should go back on stage. No. What you do, see, this is the difference between me and you, Ida. You see, you are a blessing. God just gave me the gift to be funny. And my mind was always weird. I'll be on stage. I would be on stage telling jokes, and white people be laughing. I go, "Are they laughing at me, or are they laughing at my joke?" That's how weird my brain would go. And I realized, something, Rashawn, stand-up's not for you. And then thank God, Def Comedy Jam came out, and I was able to go on stage and make my audience that look like me laugh. And then I realized, something, I want to be behind the camera. I want to be a writer. And so when I look at you, comedian, actress, writer, producer, so you're sharing a lot of hats, which also you share on this special as well. What do you enjoy the most? I know you have a great comedy special. I'm telling you right now, I enjoyed your comedy special.
Thank you.
You did humor I could not do, which is a testament to your comedic skills, because you have an eye out there that I will, how did she see that? Okay, but then how did she have the courage? I'm going to use that word right there. Courage to go on stage in front of strangers. You do a special, the front row you got. That's your people. But the rest of that room, you don't really know, okay? So you going on stage doing your thing. Talk about your approach to comedy, Ida.
So funny, for my special, we sat the people that I knew in the back and put the strangers in the front. We did the reverse because the people that I'm closest to make me a little bit nervous sometimes because they know me. They know me so well. So I don't ever want to look and see a weird reaction from someone that I know, because then I gotta live with you for the rest of my life. I've decided. I grew up in the inner city of Miami. I grew up in the hood. And part of what we used to do when we were kids, we used to do yo mama jokes. We used to do roast, we used to call it, we used to crack on each other. People call it joning, they call it roasting, they call it all that other stuff. But that's what we used to do. And when I realized that what we were doing was processing our pain through laughter, that I decided that when I started writing comedy, I would just channel that and say, how do I approach talking about sexual abuse? It's such an uncomfortable topic. It's taboo. People don't want to talk about this stuff, but it happens so much in our communities. And I wanted to release people of guilt and shame. So I sat down early in my stand-up career, and I just made a decision that I was going to talk about the things that were uncomfortable, because it helped me also heal. And so my writing process is I write first and then I incorporate the jokes, because I think about the things that I want to talk about. Because I'll watch other comedians and I appreciate their comedy and I love their stylings and I watch what they're doing. But I know that my journey is different. And Tiffany Haddish is a really good friend of mine. What she does in comedy, she also does processing pain. She's also very physical. She's got a lot of physicality in her comedy.
Yes.
She likes to be really silly sometimes. And that's just not my personality. You just told me I look like a fourth grade teacher because that's just who I am.
Right.
And you know, had I not encountered Chris Rock behind the scenes, had I not encountered Dave Chappelle behind the scenes, I would feel like I'm not a comedian. I would feel like I'm not cut out for this. But the people who I really like respect and whose style of comedy I like Bill Burr, they're just like me. When they're behind the scenes, they're just chilling. They're not like cracking jokes. They're not on all the time. They don't need all the attention in the room.
Oh my God, yes. I know exactly.
So I was like, I am a comic.
I know exactly. But you know, the interesting thing about it is that as a comedian, we always trying to get to the next laugh real fast. Or, you know, you gotta hear that joke, otherwise I'm gonna freak out on stage. It's more important to get your story out, and the laugh will be associated with it, but it's really more important to you to get it's a message in your stand-up comedy. I was just telling everybody, you know, I had never heard of Aida Rodriguez, not a negative thing. When I say never heard of her.
It's okay. It's okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's life.
They know, but she's a stand-up. I'd heard about her work that she had done. I'm talking about when I say heard, seeing her. And so when I sit down and I do my due diligence. If I'm gonna interview someone as talented as you, I'm not just gonna halfway go through the process and go, "Oh, girl, you funny, because I think it's because you have a craft, and it's a very key craft because you can't sing your way out of a bad joke. You know what I'm saying? You know, if joke ain't going, you just can't suddenly just start singing, you know, and start tap dance. That ain't what we do as stand-ups. You know, when that ship start going down, you know what I'm talking about. That ship start going 100%. Down, girl, you are sunk. And so watching your journey, we talk about that's what you decided, but how did you get into stand-up comedy? And then when you realized that, you know something, I can do this. Those are two questions right there.
So I'll tell you the truth. I love stand-up comedy since I was a little kid. My uncle David, who is the youngest of my uncles. My mother had me really young, so I grew up in the house with my grandmother and my uncles. And my uncles were, you know, my uncles gave me hip hop, they gave me comedy, they gave me Bruce Lee, and they gave me, more important than anything else. And you mentioned them earlier, they gave me Muhammad Ali.
Right.
So you know, I always was fascinated with comedy. I used to grab the broomstick to entertain my mom. She said I used to put a towel over my head and I used to make her laugh. I used to sing to her. I used to ring, but she's like, I always made her laugh. I always was fascinated with comedy and it was something that I wanted to do, but I wasn't encouraged to do that because women, especially in my culture, are never encouraged to do stuff that feels masculine.
Right.
So I was doing my friend had a birthday party and she invited me to come do a roast because she always thought I was funny. And she was like, I don't want anybody who's not thoughtful to roast me because I don't want somebody to just, you know, degrade me or
just do me for no reason.
You know, I wanted to be thoughtful. And so she was like, I know that if you do it, it's going to come from a place of love. But she also invited Chris Spencer to do that because Chris Spencer and her were classmates. So after the roast, Chris Spencer comes up to me and says, write this down. He was like, the Westwood Brewing Company. And I was like, what's that? He said, that's an open mic. He said, you, my friend, are a stand-up comedian and you need to, because my career just was not taking off as an actress. I'm tall, I'm 5'10", and that's just, it's really hard when you're tall and not white. And let's just keep it real, you know, in this business, you know, there you got Charlize Theron, Sigourney Weaver, but it's just been really hard for tall women who are not already famous. Cause of course, Tyra Banks can get a role. And so he was like, you should do stand-up. You should at least try it. He said, I could be wrong. He was like, but I know what I know. And when I see a stand-up, I know what it is. And I started doing it. I was on the radio. I was talking somewhere, and Speedy invited me to come do Speedy's Comedy Corner on the Foxhole. And he also was like, girl, you need to start doing stand-up. You are a stand-up comedian. So they had this comedy show that they were doing with the Foxhole in Arizona that was hosted by Bernadette Stanis, who is Thelma from Good Times, the queen that I love this woman. She was like the epitome of beauty to me when I was growing up.
I love it.
And so I go and do this show. And as you would know, when you first do stand-up, your first show, you always do well, right? Because it's all adrenaline.
Right.
And it's all that energy and all the funny you have stored up from your whole life. And you just give it to that first 5 minutes. And you think when you walk off there that you Richard Pryor.
Absolutely.
But then So then I go do first impressions at Chocolate Sundays. Pookie and my friend who had the birthday roast is really good friends with Pookie too. And she said, Pookie, you got to put her on stage. She's a comedian. She's going to be good. He's like, she's not ready yet. And Leah's like, it's my birthday. It was Memorial Weekend. She was like, you got to put her on stage. 3-minute set, right?
Uh-huh.
I get on stage. My first joke hits. I get cocky. I see Pookie in the audience. I look at Pookie and I said, you said I wasn't ready, mother, you know what? And then I went back to my set and I bombed for the rest of the 2 And when you bomb in 2 minutes feels like 3 hours.
And 2 minutes is 10 minutes. It's like, it's the worst.
I just melted onto the stage. And after that,
let me set the stage because I need to tell people about Chocolate Sunday. Chocolate Sunday is the premier comedy night in Los Angeles. So she wasn't like at a little side hole. And this whole comedy club is tied to the whole Kevin Hart, which is tied to Jeff Flanagan. So she was like at the Who's Who Club. And it is on Sunday. That's why they call it Chocolate Sundays. And sold out. You go down there in Hollywood, there's a line out the door every time. So her good friend put her on the spot in the top venue. It used to be Comedy Stores. It was right down the street, but it's not anymore. And it's at the Laugh Factory. And so she was walking on stage and she directed her little cute little phrase at my man, Pookie, who was a nice guy. He's short too, by the way, just like Kevin Hart. He's short just like Kevin Hart. And she walked off that stage amidst silence. I remember one time, I walked off stage to silence, and then the people started to clap, right? And I go, no. Please give me the same reaction y'all gave me for the time I was on stage. So don't suddenly give me energy like you really, if it's to get me off stage, the applause, give it to me. But if it's just to applaud, give me that same silence I've experienced. So I know when you walked off stage, it was not a good moment for you. How did you jumpstart that?
People were like, it's going to be all right.
Good. I love it. And so that moment there led you to acting still, led you to writing. But that was the moment though when I bombed though, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was the moment because I did really well in Arizona. That very first show that I was on stage, absolutely,
I got a standing ovation, and I realized I wasn't talking about nothing.
Right.
I didn't have a set. I was just on stage talking, and they were laughing at what I was saying, and I thought that was stand up.
Right.
When I went to Chocolate Sundays and I actually wrote some jokes and bombed, is when I realized that stand-up comedy is an art and a science, and it's not just people talking. There is structure behind it. And that was when I bombed, was when I said to myself, I want to do this. I want to figure this out.
Right.
I want to get on that stage and get the laughs from beginning to end. And I'm going to sit down and I'm going to figure out how to do that.
Well, Aida Rodriguez does not bomb in her special, HBO Max special called Aida Rodriguez Fighting Words. No, she's hysterical. And by the way, she's 5'10", but I got to compliment her. She has beautiful legs, y'all. She wears an outfit where she reminds everybody that she's 5'10", and it's white, and she is like, now, how did you pick out that outfit? I got to go there because I said, her legs are beautiful.
Asking.
Huh?
I appreciate you asking about that because that outfit means a lot to me. So The designer who made that outfit is a Latino designer that was on Project Runway, who reached out to me on Instagram and said, "Hey, I don't know how, but he's like, I love you. I love what you stand for. And his name is Celestino. He said, I want to make something for you. How do I show up for you?" So we talked about it. He actually made all the outfits that I wore in the special, the ones I wore in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the one I wore on stage. But those cutouts that you see at the top are the cutouts of the Taino people, which are the indigenous people of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and that's my grandfather's tribe. So that's what inspired that outfit.
Beautiful. Now let's go to the documentary side. I don't know if I got sad. Your dad, you got to meet him. That uncomfortable moment. It was uncomfortable for me watching it. Ida, when you finally met him, it was, do I hug him? Do I open the door? Do I say, Daddy? What the heck what was running through your mind meeting your father and meeting your father being taped simultaneously?
It was a chance that I took. Couple of reasons. One, I wanted to have that moment forever because my father's older. And I don't know, because of COVID and all of the stuff that was happening with his him being deported and not being able to come here and all of that stuff. I was like, I don't know when I'm going to see him again, if I'm going to see him again. But I definitely want to hold that moment because you can't see it when it's happening. You can only feel it. So I wanted to go back and see it, which I saw it was really painful to watch. The other thing is that there are a lot of us who have not grown up with a parent, a mother or a father. And we have this idea about what it's going to be, we have when I meet my father, we're going to hug, we're going to make up for lost time. And I just wanted to give a nod to a lot of people who have experienced this and just to let them know it's okay. Sometimes somebody's not in your life and, the Most High knows the most. And so for me, it was, I wanted to just free a lot of little girls and little boys like me who haven't been around their parents and to let them know that they're not alone, that a lot of people go through that. And it's okay to feel what you feel. Well, because you saw, I didn't look excited. I didn't
I'm going to tell you, because like I said, when I say the word comfortable, it's good. It's a good uncomfortable because this is a sincere moment. This is a moment that, two ways. She could be dreading this moment and she could be wishing for this moment simultaneously, which leads to like a lot of doubt and a lot of question. And you feel it all in that one moment right there. And even when he sits down, he doesn't know what to do either, And so you have two people coming into a space. They know their names, but they don't know who they are. They don't know what to say. And that's why this special is so good because it takes you on all these journeys. Oh, you're going to laugh a lot at this special Fighting Words. I laughed a lot. I enjoyed it. I didn't pause at one time. When she walked out on stage in the Bronx and announced herself and standing there, 5'10" of her, and the crowd so loud they standing up for her. The DJ announces her, Aida Rodriguez. She come out on stage doing her little dance and all that good stuff, and she dances her way to Puerto Rico. She dances her way to the Dominican Republic, and then I'm a foodie now. I kind of got mad because you sent up to all that great food. Talk about the food. Talk about the experience that you're going back to Puerto Rico. And plus, I'll be remiss. She pays it forward, y'all, because she has other young comedians on the show and just recognize them. They're not doing full sets, but the fact that she allowed that to happen was a blessing for their careers because a lot of people are going to watch this special and just being able to tag that because people have helped her out. Tiffany Haddish has helped her out. Wanda Sykes has helped her out. Shaquille O'Neal has helped her out. Even Pookie helped her out. Her best friend helped her out. So she's always had Chris Spencer helped her out. Speedy helped her out. So she's always had this mindset that if I've been helped, I'm going to help somebody else. That is really the nature of your personality. And I just wanted to say, you are good. I'm a fan now. I may not have known who Aida Rodriguez was, but I know who she is now, and I will always support you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And as you called that list of names, if you make, there's one distinct commonality in all of them is that they're all Black American people. And I say Black American because there are Black Latinos too, Black
Absolutely.
Latinx people. And I want to bring to light that. But I just want to say that had it not been for the Black American community, my career would not have taken off.
Right.
And the thing is that I'm always going to be thankful for that. And I hope that we can spill that into my community to learn how to support each other that way and to pay it forward and not to just blow each other up.
Right.
Because it's always been, Tamara Goins and Valerie Benning are the ones that put me on the Shaq All-Star. I was the first Latin person to ever do that. Wanda Sykes and Paige Hurwitz put me on Last Comic Standing. Tiffany gave me my first half-hour special. And that has always been something very important and meaningful. I grew up in a predominantly Black and brown community.
Right.
My high school had 2 white kids. Everybody was Latin or Black. And we rocked with each other because it was us against the world. You know, we had our beefs internally, of course. To say that didn't happen is a lie. But at the end of the day, when we would go do speech and debate, it would be us against the white boys because we are all we had. And I'm always going to be eternally grateful for the people who showed up for me. Kevin Hart also put me on LOL. He's the first person to put me up on a stage in Montreal for the Just for Laughs.
I remember that. That was a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, we can't just, exploit the Black community and then, forget about them when we win, because a lot of people do that. And I'm always going to rock with my people. And when I say my people, I say Black and brown people, because that's really who my people. That's my people.
My dear. She's a comedian. She's an actress, writer, producer, executive producer. Aida Rodriguez. Fighting Words. It's airing now on HBO Max. It's a comedy special / documentary. It's travels. It's an inside look at a brilliant stand-up comedy mind. And guess what? She's funny. Thank you, Aida, for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me on my show, and keep doing the good work. We appreciate it. We need you. And that's part of my work. My work is bringing financial literacy to the communities that are like mine. And we got to keep doing it. So keep doing the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Big Timer. If you want to hear or see any of my interviews on Money Making Conversation, please go to moneymakingconversation.com. I'm Rushion McDonald. I am your host.